So first thing I want to remind everybody of something here. Check this out, because this is, when we ask people about how they feel, if they're wealthy or not wealthy, or how they feel in the world, right? Like, are you rich? Are you wealthy, bro?
No.
Your family's not wealthy?
No.
Bro. Sister. I call you bro. Everyone's a bro. So
I mean,
my wife's a bro. I call my wife bro.
I wouldn't consider myself like the richest person in the world, but like decent, yeah.
But
Decent.
yeah.
I would say my family's comfortable. That's it.
Comfortable. All right. Make sure you guys hold the mics really close when you talk. Okay. So listen. What happens is, but when you say, "I'm not rich," who are you comparing yourself to?
I guess like everybody like at Penn State, like on average.
Okay. And you?
I would say like my friend group, like back in Venezuela, and like also the people I've met here.
Okay. And you?
I would probably say like people that I aspire to be as rich as.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. In that case, you're wealthy, man. Oh my God. Okay. So listen, this is the way we talk to ourselves. You, because you just haven't really thought about it. But the two of you, for example, you're coming from Venezuela. So you either got here because you're like refugee level status, or you got here because you're in the elite group in Venezuela, right? I mean, elite's relative, right? It's not like the elites in Qatar or something, right? But okay, so here's the deal. We often have a very kind of limited understanding of how we think about where we stand in the world, and we often compare ourselves to people around us, or we don't really think about it. Like you're just saying, like, yeah, there are people at Penn State or friend groups or whatever, right? But look, man. First off, those of you who are religious, now I don't have to go there, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to offer that we take another perspective and step out from a wider perspective, larger, and look not at just people right around us, but look at actually the planet. Look at everybody, because that's what we really ought to be comparing ourselves to, right? Now, a lot of us haven't had many opportunities to travel and to be around, to travel around, to see, right? So for me, when I think about my position in the world, I think about the world's a big place, right? Because I've been to, like 50 countries and had lots of experiences and lived abroad for much of my life. So like I have a different kind of experience. So I want to get you to do that. And when you do that, here's what it takes to be an elite, here's what it takes in the world, right? So the left column is the percentage of adults in the world, in the entire world, who 1% of adults are, so of those who have $1 million or more, and this isn't just dollars like cash in the bank, right? This is like the value that you have in your home, the value that you have in your stocks and your retirement accounts and assets, basically, right? Dude, this guy's smart, man. It's those Tunisians. I'm telling you, watch out for them. They're going to take over the world, these guys. Yeah, man. So, $1 million, if you're an adult that has access to $1 million, like so my wife and I, so we're a household, my wife and I, right? So at this stage in our lives, we've accumulated a lot of money because we have retirement accounts, we've been working at Penn State a long time, and one thing after another. We have a house, we have this, we have that. But we've never, we're not trying to make a lot of money. But suddenly we're like, oh my God, we're really part of the elite of the world. And it really doesn't take a lot to be elite in the world. And what I'm going to say is most of your parents are probably in the 1%. Meaning that if you divide up your family's assets and you divide it by one parent or two parents or whatever it is, you're going to have on average $1 million. And if they don't have $1 million, they're going to have $1 million shortly, as soon as they pay for your schooling and all that, if they do. And then the 11% of people in the world have between $100,000 and $1 million. 11% of the people. That's everybody in this classroom. I'm going to say, even you, bro, That's going to be basically everybody in this classroom, which means that everyone in this classroom, you have parents who are in the top 12%, the richest 12% of the world, which is really a lot of money. You see, like, you can see how you shift your thinking with that, right? So if you say your parents are comfortable, well, once they pay off your out-of-state tuition and all that, your parents are probably going to be in the top 1%, right? I mean, when they get to the end, you know, if they...
But then they have a younger sibling.
They have a younger sibling, so they pay that person's off. Well, make them go to community college in New York or something. But look here, poor, 33% poor, meaning the assets of $10,000 to $100,000, and then, you know, really miserable. There's nobody who's miserable, and there's no one probably who's poor at all in here. So the bottom 88% of the world, so wherever you stand, everyone in this classroom, basically, 88% of the world's population is underneath you. And for many of you, 99% of the world's population is underneath you, or at least underneath your parents. So when you start thinking, like, are your parents comfortable? It's like you could easily just say, no, actually, my parents are really rich. From that perspective, from a certain perspective. And I say this because it's really it's a nice way to start thinking about, well, first off, it's just a provocative way to think about things, right? Because it means we have to hold a mirror up somehow in some different kind of way. And can I ask you all, like, do you want to comment? Would someone like to comment on this, by the way? What's that mean for you? Bro, what's it mean for you?
I guess, like, framing it with, like, the wealth in the entire world, I'm, like, better off than I would think.
Yeah, So what's that mean for you? Like, how do you, you know, like if you stand in front of a mirror tonight, who do you see?
I guess I don't know, I'm thankful that I live, you know, that I'm comfortable, more comfortable than most of the world.
Well, hang on though. I'm not trying to get you to a place where you're thankful of that, okay? That's not my purpose of this. My purpose is just to have one of those, like, you know, when you take like a like a really big bong hit or something, you know what I mean? And dude, you know, right?
Actually, I'm not into bong.
You're not into bong hits? All right, you take a handful of shrooms, all right? Whatever it is, dude, it's one of those moments where you just go, oh my God, like, hang on a second. I have to rethink how I think about who I am. It's just that. You know, and that's all it is. Like, you don't have to go anywhere. It's just like, what does that mean? Like, what's it mean for you? It's just like, oh, yeah, okay, I forget. What's it mean for you?
I mean, like, when I was looking at this, I wouldn't have considered myself to be, like, the 1% of the world, like, before I knew this. But, like, it's also pretty shocking because, like, you can compare yourself to other people that have, like, private planes and, I don't know, Elon Musk and stuff like that.
Dude,
So-
exactly. That's what happens,
So,
right?
like, exactly, like,
yeah.
compared to them, it's like I'm pretty much broke. But,
Yeah.
like, if you put it this way, it's like I'm the 1%, and that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we never look down. We look, like, I'm not going to look down and see that I'm standing on the shoulders of 99% of the world's population, because that just doesn't make sense. First off, why would I do that? And secondly, because I don't look down like that. Because we're trained to look up. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm not rich. It's like, oh. But, you know, when you have certain experiences, right? And like, yo, man, dudes, you just have certain experiences that you know what the 99% is, and you know what the 55% is, and you know what that means. And it doesn't mean to turn around and say, oh, I'm so thankful, you know, I'm grateful that I don't have, you know, which is not to downplay that, right? But it's not about that. It's just about what happens to a human being when we have some kind of realization like that, and our minds just open in a new way. The potential for growth and understanding is profound. Is profound. So, Jada. So, as you're part of the oppressed side of America. You're a black woman. Mm-hmm. You're the oppressed American, right? And, this is how we talk about, it's very common. We talk about, the racist, oppressive system in the United States, right? Meanwhile, you're standing on 99% of the world's shoulders. And
my parents are.
Your parents are, right. But you will be, right? But you will be, because you're here, you're clear, you're gonna rise, you're gonna do well, and you're gonna be standing on the 99% shoulders. And it's like, whoa. And if you're not careful, you'll continue to have that dialogue in your mind about being oppressed. And for you, it's because, my family doesn't have a private plane, so I'm oppressed. I mean, you didn't say that, but you know what I mean. But you know what I'm talking about. But if you're not careful, that's where you go, and then it's kind of like, man, yeah, I don't know. So you're rich. Okay. Yeah, what's it mean? You're rich, man. You just found out. My family's rich. Oh, my God. Next time you're somewhere when people start talking about the 1%, you make sure you... What's it mean? You're in the 1%, dude. Your family is. How do you feel about that?
I think personally, as you said specifically a black woman, right? I never really consider myself oppressed because of the opportunities that I've been given. Mm-hmm. So it's just a change of narrative. So yeah. In terms of oppression is someone that's not able to go to a college that's mm-hmm. known, someone who doesn't have the opportunities that I have. So I don't really consider myself oppressed. Just as much as I don't consider myself rich, I have to work for the things that I get. Mm-hmm. And if I mm-hmm. was rich, I wouldn't have to do so. It's just those things that make me realize, yes, I am considered, because of my parents' place and their successes, a bit higher than others, but technically I consider myself down because I don't have any form of income.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. Okay. So here, let me say the following. I was just having fun with the narrative about being oppressed because, it's clear you don't think that, and okay, but that is a narrative that's out there, right? And I think the issue, though, is that you. Look, first off, I'm not trying to force any of us into a place. My only job right here is to just open us, right? To say, yeah, but everybody works for what they have, right? So, you work for everything you have, but the people who get the private plane work for that. Everybody works for it. Nobody just is given stuff. Everybody works for it. So, the point being, this idea that, yeah, I'm in the 1%. That's the idea. I'm in the 1%. And it's now if we take that narrative and we work with it, it just changes some things. It's going to change some things. I don't know what it changes, but it does something. Here, let me go with the, let's go to the next thing. Okay, so here, I don't know how much I want to make sure we get this conversation with Mr. Rashidi. So listen, what's the title of this class? Go back. Disrupting our thinking. Okay, so here. Can I ask the three of you, how many? So I want to talk about immigration, okay, and immigrants. And immigration is a thing, right? I mean, immigration exists. It always exists. It's always going to exist. People are going to cross borders. People are going to move around. Everybody in this classroom, either you're a temporary immigrant because you're an international student who's come here, right? But everybody who's here is an immigrant in some way. Some people, your ancestors didn't choose it. You were forced to be here. Other people, ancestors maybe didn't choose it in the sense that they were just really poor and they got here. But everybody else is really an immigrant. And that's kind of the nature of the world, right? Human beings, we've just been traveling around the world and doing the immigration thing. So we got to figure out what to do about this constantly, right? Because we're working with, I don't know how, you can't stop it. You're not going to stop immigration. You can build walls, right? We started building a wall on our southern border, but there's like 60 countries in the world that have walls. We're not the only one. And so, okay, so the walls. What are we going to do? What kind of policies are we going to have? And there's no one single way to think about it. It's a very complex issue. Also, this is coming out of the UN High Commission on Refugees. The UN right now is estimating because of climate change and climate collapse, okay, 1.2 billion climate refugees in 30 years. 1.2 billion, y'all. I just want to hold this out to you, right? 1.2 billion climate refugees in 30 years. That means by the time you're, most of you are in your 50s, the world is dealing with 1.2 billion climate refugees, meaning that because of climate change, the changing climate that is largely human-induced. So hang on. Okay, so I see a couple people on their phones. Dude, that dude right there. All right, so listen, man. Here's what I want to say. By the way, can I tell you something else you may not have heard? Today, it is today's a day in the world of demography. Does anyone know why this is a really, really big day? Did you know it, too? The two of you know it? Go ahead, bro.
Did we, the world population pass 8 billion?
Yeah, 8 billion today. We hit 8 billion. Okay, so everyone hold this for a second. You want to really put your phone down. Dude. Okay, hold this. In 30 years, the estimate by very thoughtful people is that we could have over 1 billion climate refugees. People who have been forced out of their land, wherever they're living, they're forced from their way of life into some other place because they cannot survive in the way that they and their ancestors have been surviving in the land in which they reside. And they are going to go somewhere. And the world is going to have to figure out what to do. Okay? 1.2 billion. Do you have a quick thought? Anyone want to just venture to say just a quick thought before I show you a couple things? What should we do? Do you have a thought on that? Just a feeling about it, a thought on it?
I was just thinking that there's probably going to have to be a lot more construction, and they're going to have to start cutting down forests and things like that for there to be more space where people don't live right now. But other than that, basically.
Yeah, okay, which we don't want to do. Okay, so. Bro, have you ever thought about this? Do you know anything about this? What do you think it means for you? And then Jada, I want to ask you, what do you think it means for you?
If more people are refugees and leaving their homes, I think it's just going to make cities and already really populated areas that much more populated. So you're going to have crowding issues.
Yeah, so what's it mean for you?
like rent prices go up, housing goes up, and yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we're talking 1/8 of the world's population. Jada, how about you? What's it mean for you? Just for you as a human being.
I feel like eventually, like us, like where we are right now, we're gonna have to make a shift as well. Like I feel like that's eventually gonna happen, but I really don't think about this, which is bad. But
Why is it bad?
because I should know, but I'm not informed at all
Well, why should you know?
because it's happening in the world.
Yeah, but why should you know about what's happening in the world? A lot of
Because-
stuff's happening in the world.
Because ultimately, like something that may not be resonating with you just yet is gonna impact you eventually. So you should know.
Yeah, so listen, I'm not sure should is where it is, but yeah, everything's going to impact you for sure. So I guess the more you know, I guess the purpose of why I talk about this stuff is to build awareness, right? To make us better people, to make us think about things that we generally are not going to think about. I'm not going to put those other numbers up, by the way, because it doesn't really matter. Can you go to the next slide? Let me just show you a couple things here. So right now there's a famine in Somalia. It's in the Horn. It's called the Horn of Africa, and Eastern Africa, and the famine is right. There's it's hard to assess really, but at least 8 million people who really have at this stage lost their livelihoods, because of climate changes, and they're going to go somewhere. And if you look at this photo, and I was looking at lots of photos, and why do you think there aren't any men? Where do you think the men are? Because I could show you a lot of photos of women and children lined up. Where I want to ask you, where do you think the men are?
They probably immigrated to other places where they can make more money for their families.
Yeah, they left. They're going to go somewhere. You know what they're going to do? They're going to do what everybody in this room would do. Every single one of us. You're going to go try to survive. I mean, you're going to do what you need to do for your family. You're going to go. So, when you think about, all these immigrants, whatever border they're on, the immigrants are us. We're all going to do that. Everyone. And now we got to figure out, okay, what do we do? What do we do? Right? So, you're talking, right now, we're talking about 8 million people. And I could show you photos that are really disturbing, but I decided not to do that. Go to the next slide. Here's the floods in Pakistan. This is directly linked to climate change. You can't even assess. You got, hundreds of square miles of land where you can't get out. You can't get out of the water. People are going to go somewhere, right? It's going to happen. This is the first major flood. This is the worst flooding by far and away Pakistan's ever had. And for those of you who don't really believe climate change or think it's not going to affect you, everywhere in the world, what we're seeing are we're seeing these climate events that areas of the world have never experienced ever. Ever. It's not just chance, right? So here's one, or go to the next one. So, by the way, I can just do this. Oh my God. Europe cities. Refugees going to Europe. They're going to go to Europe. They're going to go somewhere. You're not going to stop it. I was in Europe over the summer, and I've been going back and forth to Europe for the past 30 years. It's like people are going. You're not going to stop people from going. You're not going to stop people in Florida from emigrating out of Florida when 25% of Florida is underwater in 30 years. They're going to be leaving, and they're going to go somewhere. And they're going to come north, and they're going to be like, all right, what do we do? Right? Or here, these are refugees from Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan who are getting off a boat into land into what is now Greece and Cyprus. They're going to get off. You can stop the boats, right? Italy just stopped 2 boats from landing, but they sent them over to France, and France has said, all right, we're going to take them. People are going to come. And we can say, like, okay, but we're not going to let you land, but they're going to land. They're going to land. Like you cannot stop it. It's like, it's like this. Do you ever see, there was this mind game that, I watched this video of like 3 professional soccer players playing against like 500 5-year-olds. And the professional soccer players won. But then I've seen these other simulations where like 3 like special forces rangers go up against 1,000 people with spears. And they win. And they say, all right, let's try 1,200 people with spears. It's like, it's using AI. And then you get to the point where you can't, doesn't matter who you are or what technology you are, you're not going to win. The 1,500 or 1,600 or 1,700 people with nothing but spears and sticks are going to win. And you're going to stop it. And so, like, okay, what then? What do we do, and how do we do it? That's why what's happening right now in Sharm el-Sheikh is so important, because we're trying to figure out what to do about climate collapse. So here's this one. So these are very likely to be Venezuelan refugees, right? So I was going to show a photo of these Venezuelans who, like the caravan, right? So can you just say quickly, what happened in Venezuela to have the whole system fall apart?
Well, pretty much there's like hyperinflation because there's dictatorship, and they believe that like communism is the best way for the country to succeed. But the truth is, like, there's so much corruption that the country just like fell apart. So basically, like, all the uneducated people that decided to vote for Chavez, they basically realized that he wasn't doing well with the economy, and now they're like so broke that they don't even have like what to eat.
But listen, why'd they vote for Chavez?
Because it's like socialism. So basically, in his mind, he would tell people that like if he was the president, he was gonna make the rich not be rich anymore and have their money be the poorest people money, which is just unrealistic.
Okay, yeah, but it's not very different from Trump or Biden or Obama or anybody else, right? You tell people what they want to hear. But who are these people, man? Where are they? Are they in the green, the orange, or the red?
Like the poor people, or
Yeah,
the people?
yeah.
Oh, poor people definitely like below red, if that could be a section.
So now you're poor, you're miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And someone comes along and says like, hey, we're gonna socialize things here, and we're gonna make it better. And then what you did leave out was the price of oil collapsed too, and that really made it. Okay, and now we're gonna make it better. And not only that, but we're gonna like take reserves and we're gonna give each family like $30 or something, which for me would be nothing. It's not gonna, dude, is $30 gonna buy your vote? But it buys the vote when you have nothing. And you realize, okay, this is gonna buy me some food for a week, but you got a week, so Chavez and Maduro and so on, like, okay, hey, we can do this, right?
Can I just say like a small
Yeah.
comment? There was like even a point where like getting like a tank of gas was like so cheap that you could like pay the person that would like put the gas on your car. Like you could literally give them like a cookie and it would be like more than paying them for the gas. And I was like, oh, I got a full tank of gas for just
because
a cookie.
Because Venezuela is a petroleum producing country, right? Petroleum exporting country, okay? So now Venezuela falls apart. It just falls apart. Just like the U.S. can fall apart, just like any nation can fall apart, and countries fall apart all over the world. And we can have some reason, specific reason for it, but the truth is, things fall apart because stuff happens. You know what I mean? Stuff happens. It's like, okay, we get somebody in power who like just drives it into the ground. It's like, okay. And so then now Venezuela falls apart and people are just leaving by the millions, right? There was one point, when I was when I left Bogota in March of 2020 is when so many Venezuelans, I couldn't go out in the street. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Venezuelans everywhere, right? Okay, so now let's go back here. So people are going to come. And people are going to come here. And they're going to come across the border. And we can elect someone into power who says, I'm going to build a wall. And I'm going to keep them out. And you can feel like, yeah, okay, good, do that. And cheer that person on. They're not building a wall, man. I was going to show you a picture of the wall, where the wall stopped. And all the immigrants were just walking around it. Because it's going to stop somewhere, y'all. And other walls that we built to keep them out, those people, and people were just climbing over it. Like, you're going to get around. You're going to make it happen. And if you don't make it, you'll get on boats. And you'll arrive to the U.S. in boats. You're going to get here. Just like you would, bro, you would, I would, we all would. And so now we got to figure out, like, oh man, how do we think about this stuff, right? This is the nature of it. Like, how do we think about it? So, and so there are a lot of people. I want to show you this, by the way, because this is kind of cool. Do you guys know anything about this? Like the buses and the planes of immigrants that Florida and Texas are sending north. Do you know anything about it? So Texas, because of the nature of Texas, so many people pour into, they come into Texas, right? From South America, from Mexico, which is North America, and Central America, Venezuela, and South America, okay? And the governor of Texas says, hey, man, why should we have to pay for this, right? Because the nature of taxes is communities have to pay taxes. And when you pay your federal tax, you have very little say about where that money goes, right? Because it's like, I don't know, it just goes to the government. The state tax, you have a little bit more say. Local county tax, you have a little bit more say. And local tax, presumably, you have more say. And people, when we pay taxes, we want to be able to say, like, where that money is spent. Because there are things that maybe you all want to spend money on, I don't want to spend my tax dollars on. And so, like, we fight over that. That's the nature of taxation. But we have to pay taxes. Because you got to pay for things. Because there are costs. And someone out is shoveling the snow out on Route 80 right now because somebody pays taxes. Otherwise, nobody's going to shovel the snow. You're going to have to pay taxes. Okay? So these governors are saying, hey, listen, man, why should we have to pay for all of this? For all these immigrants coming in. Why should that come out of our state taxes? It should come out of the country's taxes, especially because there are all these liberals in these sanctuary cities and people in the north who are saying, oh, we have to treat immigrants fairly and like it's really terrible. You put them in cages and you do this and you do that. It's like, no, you got to be, come on, that's inhumane. It's all this bad stuff, this critique. So these governors say, Abbott says, okay, well, we'll send them on a bus and we'll send them up to the sanctuary cities. And that's what DeSantis is saying in Florida. We'll put them on an airplane. We'll send them up to Martha's Vineyard with all you liberals up at Martha's Vineyard who think you're all so wonderful and nice and kind. So we'll send them up there. You all deal with them, which is brilliant, by the way. Brilliant. I was like, oh my God. Awesome. You're a sanctuary city. Well, then you should be a sanctuary city. Then you should have a busload of immigrants come into your city and you take care of them. That's the nature of it. Then stop saying you're a sanctuary city. Stop saying you're like, oh, but I'm a good person. I wouldn't do that. Well, fucking good for you. Then here's an immigrant. But you build it, let them live in that spare bedroom in your house. Because where that person's coming from, it's one of these people. And they're just trying to survive, y'all, right? That's all they're doing. They're trying to survive. Not like your family. Your family had means. They're trying to survive too, but in a different way, right? Your family had means. So you just need to get out of the mierdero of Venezuela, right? I mean, it's a different thing. So, but nonetheless, right? All right, man. So here, I was going to talk about a couple things. I don't really want to talk about things. And here, look. We need immigrants in the U.S. I just want to say a couple things. We need immigrants in the U.S. We do, because when we've tried to get immigrants out of the U.S., like we try to arrest them all and send them back to where they came. Every time we do that, it's a mess because the owners, people who employ immigrants, whether they're on farms or factories or meat production warehouses, they're all saying, like, you can't do that. Like, we employ these, we need these people. We got to fill the jobs. And so we do. That's just part of the reality that we deal with. So, like, Alabama tried it, and they lost, just in the poultry sector, 60,000 people just left Alabama, and the whole sector collapsed. And within months, they rescinded the law. So if you're wondering why we don't just arrest undocumented immigrants, right? So, next slide. So it's like this, thanks, Jesus, for this food, or Jesus. And it's like, I love this slide. Yeah, de nada. De nada means you're welcome. So, you know what I mean? So the family up here is like, oh, thank you, Jesus, for the food. Well, white people especially, you don't call your kid Jesus because he'll turn out to be the leader of a cult and axe murder people. So, like, but Latinos do, you know what I mean? Muslims do, Isa. Right, so, but Latinos still use Jesus, but, white people don't do that. Black people, you're not into the Jesus thing, unless you're Afro-Latino. All right, but also the other side is, you know what my wife told me the other day? You guys are going to talk to Mr. Rashidi, by the way, in a few minutes. My wife told me the other day, she said, you know what you need to do? You need to rent out a hall that sells beer, and you need to just do stand-up comedy, because I just want to do stand-up comedy, man. Really, nah, I can't, because it's just too, I can't. Nah, it's not the same. I got to be in it, man. Someday. I did stand-up comedy when I was an undergrad, by the way. I thought I was terrible, but they kept asking me back, so. All right, hang on. This, yeah, okay, here. I'll come back to this, all right? All right, listen, man. Can we bring Nish? Or wait, can you bring Rashidi in? Rashidi, are you there? Is he listening? I don't know if he's there. Can you guys, okay, we're going to talk to Mr. Rashidi, all right? So here's the thing about Rashidi. You remember him, right, from before? Okay, here's what you need to know. Mr. Rashidi just left Afghanistan, and he's living in Gouda, but the Dutch say Gouda. But it's Gouda, like the cheese, right? And that's where he lives. So Mr. Rashidi used to work for us, and he worked for NATO, and he worked for us. And when Afghanistan collapsed a little over a year ago, right? You've heard, you got that a little bit? Okay. When Afghanistan collapsed, there were members of our team who we worked with whose lives were in danger because they work with us, okay? And so Mr. Rashidi is one of them. And so Bassem, by the way, Bassem is the one that you remember Bassem, you watched the class with Bassem? Well, we were, when I was in Korea. Okay, so so we all met in the Netherlands this past summer. That's where we took this photo. That was at the airport in Amsterdam. And Mr. Rashidi and his family are refugees in the Netherlands. They're immigrants in the Netherlands. And there are Dutch who are like, okay, here you are, right? And there are other Dutch who are saying like, wait, why are you here? What are you doing here, right? But he got out of Afghanistan because he could get out of Afghanistan. And because people on our team, and there were other Afghans whose lives were in danger. But you could say like, well, whatever, a lot of people's lives are in danger. These people's lives here, if I go back, these people's lives are in danger of dying. Many of these people will die in the coming months, okay? These people, many have died in the coming. Danger. These people, same thing, right? Same thing here. Same thing here, coming into the U.S., okay? In danger in lots of different ways. So the question becomes, well, at what point then, are we good? Wait, he's not there? Hang on a second. So the question I want you to figure out is, I want you to talk to him and feel like, does he deserve to be there? Why him? Is he here? All right, Rashidi. Dude, awesome, man. So you got it? So your question is to figure that out. I want you to talk to him. Can we... We're going to turn this just a little bit. Okay, there you go. Mr. Rashidi. Mr. Rashidi, can you hear me? Oh, man. Can you guys hear him? So these are, Mr. Rashidi, you're going to talk to these three lovely human beings here. This is Cole, Julietta, and Jada. Were you watching the class? All right, awesome, man. How's everything going? Yeah, well, they're happy to talk to you. Say hello. You can hear your mics on. Turn your mic. You got to talk in your mics here.
Hi.
Hi.
And you want to look right here for him. Say hello to Mr. Rashidi.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Rashidi.
Remember Mr. Rashidi? You go, hang on, sorry, Mr. Rashidi, I cut you off. So here's the deal. He's in the Netherlands, living as a refugee. I mean, he's going to get some kind of, he's getting settled status, but he entered the Netherlands as a refugee. So I want you to figure out whether, okay, ask him some questions. I want to know. I want you to get to the end of the call and decide, like, okay, he should be there, or like, why him, or something. Right? Go ahead, ma'am. You can ask him any questions. Mr. Rashidi, they're allowed to ask you any questions, right? All right.
I just wanted to ask, how are you providing for your family and like if you're working right now? Oh, how are you providing for your family and what do you work in?
Okay. Go ask Paul. Do you understand that? You don't understand that?
I think he said he doesn't do anything right now because of the government.
Yeah, he's not doing anything right now. Hey, stream team, can you bring us three of the oh wait, hang on, never mind. Okay, yeah, he's not doing anything right now. They're having a hard time. Can you turn him up on the stream? Turn him up out here? All right. All right, here. Hang on, Mr. Rashidi. Do you have your next question? You can turn that on and put that in your ear. Turn that on and put that in your ear. Turn that on and put that in your ear and you'll hear it. You'll hear him.
Has this been like used before?
Got it. That's it. You're good, man. All right, Mr. Rashidi, next question. Go ahead. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your next question?
How hospitable would you say the country that you are now is compared to the U.S., like to immigrants?
How hospitable are the Dutch toward you? How nice are they? How welcoming? How We say that again? Kind and loving. All right. Go ahead, next follow-up question. Why do you say that? What do you see? What are you experiencing?
I wanted to ask if you feel that they've given you opportunity to feel like you belong there.
Hey, Mr. Rashidi, we need you we have to turn your microphone up, okay? Somehow. So we need it to be louder.
Yes, sorry, I couldn't catch you. Can you repeat
Yeah,
your
can
question?
you turn your microphone up somehow, okay? Do you know how to, can you do that? Or just hold the phone. Are you on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, just hold it closer to you if you could. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Awesome, man. All right. So what kind of opportunities has the Dutch provided for you?
Yeah, now I have a house. Yes, they pay me every month my expenses, and they want me to learn Dutch first. Then I should learn something to do some job in maybe in next future, and to help my family and to feed my family.
Next question.
Is your wife also been offered opportunities to work in the future?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I can't hear you.
Yeah, I
well.
have it. And Mr. Rashid, she's asking about Uma. What opportunities does she have?
Also learning Dutch, but for her it's pretty difficult because she didn't know even the alphabet of Dutch, because our language has a different alphabet, so it's real difficult for her to learn Dutch.
Mm-hmm. So for you, it's been easier because you learned English.
Alphabet and maybe some words are similar to English. Because of that, for me it's easy.
Okay. Cole has a question for you.
What did you do in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I worked for a long time, maybe around 8 years, with the word in conversation, and also with a joint project with the NATO, with Afghans Independent Bar Association, and Penn State, a joint project for the NATO. Yeah, I was working for that, and also I was as communication advisor for the TEVET, Technical and Vocational Education in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. And you were teaching English, right?
Yeah, I was teaching English and also teaching Persian.
Uh-huh. All right. Next question. Jada has a question for you.
What attributes do you think you can bring to your new community that will be positive?
Oh, man. Did you hear that? You want me to repeat it?
Yeah, if you repeat.
I'll repeat
Sorry,
it.
I can't hear you well. I don't know why.
Okay, but you can hear me though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so she said, what attributes, what skills do you have? Qualities that you have that you can bring to your new community?
Yeah, sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, the question is, what do you have to offer your new community? Damn. Hey, take your headphones off. Let's just use your speakerphone. Okay?
Yeah, can you repeat that?
Yeah, you got it now, right?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
better.
the question, Mr. Rashidi, the question is, what skills do you have to offer the Dutch in your new home? Like, what do you have to offer?
Yes, I have really something that to offer here, but nowadays I'm learning. Yeah, when you come from a different culture to a new culture, it's pretty difficult to realize you can do here. Yeah, I can do lots of things. It is my second time. I'm immigrant. The first time when the Taliban captured Afghanistan or Kabul, I was in Iran. I worked here. Yeah, and I was really successful here. Yes, I do a lot of things, and I will, yes, will have that in here. And I'm good at learning. Yeah, I was good from the beginning. I'm good at learning. And I will learn something to do here as well.
Do you have another question?
You said you taught English. Where did he live before? In Afghanistan?
In Afghanistan.
You said you taught English in Afghanistan. Do you plan on doing so in the Netherlands as well?
Could you teach English, Mr. Rashidi?
No, that learn English at your school, and all they know English better than me.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, it is pretty different in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, at school it's not good. They don't teach English good. Because of that, everyone needs to learn it beside the school at language centers.
What would you say is the hardest part of being a refugee?
Would I say what?
What is the most difficult part of being a refugee?
Yeah, it is. It has two. I can say positive and negative side. Yeah, in some ways it was really good for me, and I came here. I'm not under the Taliban, and in some ways I left my everything, my beginning. Maybe in 2 months or 3 months, I'll get 50. I made everything in Afghanistan, but I left it all in Afghanistan, and I will start here again. Yeah, this part is really difficult for me.
Can you tell us why you left
Yeah, why?
Afghanistan?
Yeah, why did you leave? Like, what was really the thing that just you said, I have to leave?
I left Afghanistan, you mean?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, maybe you know, last year, the Taliban took over the country. Yes, I was working for the NATO, and also I was working for some foreign organizations. Because of that, I was afraid of being killed by the Taliban, so I escaped from Afghanistan and I came to the Netherlands.
So fundamentally, fear of being killed.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. You know, when Mr. Rashidi left his house, you know, on the morning that our two people in our members of our Afghan team had already left, and they went to, one member actually left, who was Rafi, my partner, and he went to Belgium. And everybody else, there was a Mr. Rashidi, I'm just going to tell the story really fast. And there was one day when they had to get out. We were able to get them on an airplane, and we were able to say, okay, you're going to get out at this time. And it was really touch and go. And we were somehow able to get them into the Netherlands on a plane that would go to the Netherlands, right? In the moment that we said, this was right, we had 119 that day. So in the moment that we said, okay, you need to leave now. Mr. Rashidi, when you left your house, tell them the story about when you left your house.
We were about to have our dinner, just some text, you should move toward the airport. Then we start moving and even I couldn't turn off the TV. Just we sat in the car and move toward the airport.
So the idea is the food's on the stove, the television's on, and I say, you go now. You can't wait even for a moment. You go, and the food's still on the stove, and the television's still going, and he and his wife and 3 kids ran out. He left the house to go to the airport. Right, that's like the nature of this, right? So I want to know, like, do you have another question? What, Mr. Rashidi, why you and not somebody else? Like, how do you think about all the other Afghans who are stuck in Afghanistan and people who were killed by the Taliban and who are in jail, but you're not? And like, how is that for you? Like, how do you think about that?
I'm pretty happy because of that. I'm not under the Taliban, and also I'm thankful for those people who helped me that I'm here. And really sad for my friends, my relatives, and the other people who are living in Afghanistan under the Taliban rule. It's not just being in the jail. Even if you are in your house, it's like a jail living under Taliban.
So how do you sometimes, like, do you feel guilty that you got out, or do you feel like, how do you feel about that you got out and they didn't get out?
I don't know. Sometimes I even think it's a dream that I'm here. Yeah,
A dream.
Even today, I was at school with my son. Even today, I was thinking it will be a dream for me that I'm out of Afghanistan. And also, always I feel guilty for my people. You think that you could do something just for maybe some of them, but you didn't. Yes, you feel guilty for that. Yeah, because of the women, you don't know, maybe the women can go to work nowadays, and also we don't have education for the women. After the 6th grade of school, we don't have education for them.
So what the issue is, the Taliban aren't allowing, after the 6th grade, they're not allowing people to go to school. Some women have started taking college classes now, but no, go ahead. Julietta has a question for you.
How come you didn't leave Afghanistan earlier?
Can you repeat that?
Why didn't you leave Afghanistan earlier than you did?
Yes, at the previous time I left Afghanistan because of Taliban. I went to Iran. Yes, on that time I was curious about something that will change. Afghanistan will change soon, and I will be back to Afghanistan. So I didn't go anywhere. I love my country. Yes, if you live in a small place, you move to another place, you put everything, your good things there. Yeah, because of that, I love to live in Afghanistan. I love to live in Afghanistan. I turned back and I was here for 10 years. After that, when the Taliban came, I was not agreed to leave the country, but because of the Taliban,
So the
I had
idea.
to do that.
So the idea is that's your country. You love your country. You didn't want to leave. Yeah. I think that's true. You know what I think that when I show you the photos of people who are, hang on, we have 2 minutes. We're going to ask Mr. Rashidi one more question, but I want to say the following. there's no one in those photos that wants to leave their country. Nobody wants to leave. Like, it doesn't matter how, it's your home. Like Mr. Rashidi, you know, you had a property. How many trees did you have on your property, Mr. Rashidi?
It's about 280,
Like 250 trees.
trees.
Yeah. So, Mr. Rashidi, one final, you have a minute, one minute and a half. Can you just say something to my class, to people about immigrants? Yo, hang on.
Sometimes I was thinking when I was in Afghanistan, why the people, the immigrants who are going to the countries like Europe or in the United States, but somehow some of them, yes, really extremists, become really extremists. Now I realize that if you think, when you go to some places here, you think everyone is against you. Yeah, because of that, some people don't know. Yes, they think, yes, they are against me because I'm Muslim or because I came from a Middle Eastern country or like this. Somehow they just act against them, and it is like that. And also, let me leave that and say you, when you come to somewhere that is hate, yeah, change it, stop that hate, and change it to love. Love everyone, every human, and
So just love people. All right. Hey, thanks, Mr. Rashidi. Yo, thank you for.
bye.
All right, we'll see you.